Stop being so available. Carl Jung's shocking truth. Are you always the one? The one who's there for everyone else? The one who drops everything at a moment's notice, blows up your own schedule, and always answers that late-night call, only to feel more drained and invisible than ever? You tell yourself that being constantly available makes you a good friend, a loving partner, a dedicated family member. It feels like you're being generous, like you're showing how much you care. But what if the very thing you believe is an act of love is actually a form of self-abandonment? What if your 24/7 availability isn't drawing people closer, but is instead teaching them that your time, your energy, and your needs are endlessly expendable? The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung, one of history's great explorers of the human soul, gave us the tools to understand a shocking truth about what this constant availability is really costing you. And it has everything to do with losing the most precious thing you own: your true self. Section 1. The problem. The mask that becomes a cage. Let's be real about what being too available actually looks like. It's firing back a text instantly, even when you're bone-tired, because you can't stand them thinking you're ignoring them. It's saying yes to a last-minute favor that completely torpedoes your own plans, because their disappointment feels worse than your own. It's letting yourself become an emotional vending machine for others. They hit the button for a quick dose of validation, then put you back on the shelf until the next time they're running low. We do this from a place we think is good. We want to be loved. We want to be seen as reliable, as indispensable. We're terrified that if we aren't useful, we won't be valued. So, we build a version of ourselves that is endlessly helpful, always agreeable, and perfectly accommodating. Carl Jung had a name for this: the sex persona. The persona is the social mask we wear to fit in and be accepted. It's the good employee, the cool friend, the supportive partner. And on its own, a persona isn't bad. It's a necessary tool for getting by in the world. The danger, the deep and profound danger, starts when we forget we're wearing a mask at all. We start to believe the mask is our real face. You begin to identify so strongly with the role of the available one that you lose sight of the actual person underneath. Every time you force a yes, you hammer home the idea that this is who you are. The more you sell this image, the more people expect it from you. And soon, it becomes a cage. You feel trapped by everyone else's expectations, sure, but also by the image you've so carefully built for yourself. The mask that once helped you connect to the world has become a prison, and inside, your authentic self is slowly running out of air. Section 2. The agitation. Jung's insight. The high cost of self-abandonment. So what's the real psychological cost of wearing this mask for too long? This is where applying Jung's ideas gets not just profound, but deeply unsettling. When you're constantly available to others, you are, by definition, constantly unavailable to yourself. It's a quiet, slow-motion act of self-abandonment. With every plan you drop, with every need you swallow, with every moment you put someone else's comfort before your own peace, you send a powerful message to your own soul. You don't matter. To get the weight of this, we have to look at what Jung saw as the most important journey of a human life. Individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming your whole, distinct, and authentic self. It's the journey of figuring out who you really are, separate from the expectations of society, your friends, or your parents. It's about building a solid internal sense of who you are and what you stand for. This constant availability is the very antithesis of individuation. It's a refusal to draw a line, a fear of standing apart. Instead of building a relationship with your own inner world, you're just fused to the outer world, constantly reacting to its endless demands. This leads to a slow-burning resentment that simmers right below the surface. You feel emotionally exhausted because your psychic energy is always flowing out, and nothing is coming back in to fill your own well. And the most painful irony in all of this? You end up feeling invisible, precisely because you've worked so hard to erase yourself. You've gotten so good at anticipating and meeting everyone else's needs that you've trained them, and yourself, to completely ignore your own. You feel like a ghost in your own life because you willingly gave up your own substance. Section 3. The deeper cause. The terrifying shadow of no. If this is so damaging, Why is it so damn hard to stop? Why does saying a simple word like no feel like you're committing an act of treason? To find the answer, Jung would tell us we have to be brave enough to look into our own shadow. The shadow, in Jungian psychology, is the part of ourselves we've pushed down and denied. It holds all the pieces of our personality that we've been taught are unacceptable, shameful, or bad. It's our anger, our selfishness, our right to be assertive, all the stuff we learned to hide away to be considered good. For the people pleaser, for the person who is always available, the shadow is just brimming with power. It's where your fierce, unapologetic no lives. It's where your right to have needs, to be tired, and to put yourself first is stored. We're terrified of this part of ourselves. We think that if we let it out, if we set a boundary or show our anger, we'll be seen as a bad person and we'll be abandoned. That fear is so powerful that we overcompensate by becoming compulsively, painfully agreeable. But here's the thing. The shadow doesn't vanish just because we ignore it. Buried feelings don't die. They fester. That repressed no just leaks out sideways. It shows up as passive aggression, as chronic anxiety, as weird physical pains, or as a sudden, soul-crushing burnout. That nagging feeling of being used? That's often the shadow's whisper, reminding you of all the parts of yourself you've left behind. Until you find the courage to turn around and face it, it will keep running your life from the shadows. Section 4. The solution, the sacred circle of the boundary. Understanding the persona, individuation, and the shadow gives us a map to our inner world. But how do we actually start the journey back home to ourselves? The answer is in one powerful and totally misunderstood action: setting a boundary. Forget the idea that a boundary is a wall you build to shut people out. Think of it more like a sacred circle you draw around yourself. This circle is what defines where you end and another person begins. It protects your mental and emotional space, letting you have your own feelings and your own needs without them being drowned out by everyone else's. A lack of boundaries leads to what psychologists call enmeshment, where two people are so tangled up they lose their own identities. And here is the paradox that changes everything. Healthy boundaries don't destroy relationships. They're the only foundation on which real relationships can be built. True intimacy is only possible between two whole, separate individuals. Constant availability dissolves that necessary space and creates a kind of emotional suffocation that we mistake for love. When you set a boundary, you're not pushing someone away. You're creating the space needed for genuine respect, desire, and curiosity to actually grow. You're finally giving them a chance to meet the real you, not just the mask you've been wearing. Section 5. Practical steps to reclaim yourself. Okay, understanding all this is a huge first step. But what does this look like on a Tuesday afternoon when that friend calls with their latest 5-alarm crisis? How do we start drawing that sacred circle in the real world? First, just pause for self-reflection. Before you automatically blurt out yes, take one single breath. Ask yourself, what do I actually want or need right now? In the beginning, you might not even know the answer. That's okay. Just the act of asking is the first step to honoring yourself again. Second, practice with small no's. You don't have to start with the scariest person in your life. Start small, where the stakes are low. Try, I can't talk right now, but how about I call you in an hour? Or, I'm so sorry, I can't make it tonight, but I'd love to see you next week. Every little no is a rep at the gym for your boundary-setting muscle. Third, lean into the discomfort. Look, when you start changing this dance, people might get confused. They might even get annoyed. They're used to the old you. It is not your job to manage their reaction. Your only job is to calmly and kindly hold your ground. That discomfort you feel? That's the feeling of individuation. It's the friction that proves you are finally separating your true self from their expectations. Fourth, welcome your shadow. You have to start telling yourself that it's not bad to have needs. It's not selfish to be tired. It's not mean to say no. Reclaiming these parts of you, your assertiveness, your right to your own space, is how you become a whole person. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you an honest one. This is a journey, not a magic trick. So, I'm curious. What's one small boundary you could set this week to start honoring your own needs? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading what everyone else is going through helps us all feed off.